And just to finish up on that, you want to choose what you share with whom. And this is certainly true on your personal sites that all of you have, that you may not want a recruiter or an employer looking at. And this gets back to mentions. Again, this is the analytic thing. And again, YouTube has it, blogging has it, and it's easier than you think. And you can go and take a look at them. This comes from Facebook, and see what you can learn about who's visiting and what you might do with it. So you don't want to filter your fans. You don't want to neglect or abandon. You don't want to ignore and alienate. So if you're getting a lot of negative comments, you've got to come back. You don't have to answer every single one. Maybe you only answer one, but you answer the one, everybody gets to see it, and they say, oh, they heard. And that is really an amazing thing. I mean, that can really turn someone around in terms of their interest in you. You know, I screwed up, and I'm sorry. And people get to see it, and they say, well, you know, that's okay. And of course, don't be afraid of negative comments, which everybody is. And if you have a lot of pent-up anger or a lot of pent-up whatever, particularly if you're a big company, the first time they put their toe in the social media water, there gets to be this gigantic response, usually negative, right? It scares people to death. And then it dies down. You deal with the issues, you tell them that you're listening. But, you know, if you're a big company or a big organization, you've got other issues. So we're going to leave Facebook for the moment. And we're going to talk more about the theory of social networks. Now, Reed is the founder of LinkedIn, and he basically said that every time you add a person, you increase that by tenfold. That every time you add a contact. So now we're talking about contacts, but the same thing applies to friends, doesn't it? Right? And if you have more contacts, that means you have more ways to leverage your network effects. So, for example, you have an opening for a job, or you want an intern, or you want a volunteer. What do? You post it on your LinkedIn site to everybody that knows you. If you only have 5 people on your site, that's all the people that are going to see it. But if you have a couple hundred people on your site, they're going to look at it and say, you know, my daughter would love to have a job, or I'll volunteer. So it's a great way to take advantage of it. And I had a friend who was teaching a writing course, and that's how she filled her class. She said, I'm only half full. Do you have any ideas? And I said, yeah, post it on LinkedIn. Let people know that you're teaching. The people on LinkedIn know you. They like you. They'll help. So it's really, really powerful, and we're going to dig into it a little bit. So LinkedIn, and to some extent Facebook, but certainly LinkedIn, which is a professional business network, is based on the concept of the strength of weak ties. And Mark Granover, who is a sociologist professor here at Stanford, was the first one to look at this sort of what it took to get things done. And what he discovered was that people meet their husbands, their wives, they get a job, they get a volunteer, not necessarily from their best friends, but from their best friends' friends. And why is that? Well, if you and I are best friends, we kind of know a lot of the same people. We might know about a lot of the same jobs. But if your friend, Paula, who I don't know, is on your list, and she sees it, she's able to help there. When people look for jobs, by far, the biggest connector is weak links, not strong links. All right, so this is what it plays off of. And then there's something else called 6 degrees of separation. Anybody heard of that? Please, Paula. Oh.
Apparently, we are only 6 people separated from everybody else.
Right. You could take a monk in Nepal, and you could get to that monk, within 6 people. And they've redone the study of 6 degrees of separation, and it's more like 2.478. So it's even shorter than you think. So anyway, but this is very powerful stuff, and this is what LinkedIn is based on. All right, so I told you about one of my favorite parts of LinkedIn, which is that LinkedIn is a self-updating Rolodex. Once I have you in my database, I can always find you. That is really cool. And then, since we're connected, if you ever post something like you need an intern, or your daughter needs a job, or you're looking for a job, or you have a job, right? It gets sent immediately to me from your news feed. And if you have 50 or 100 people in your network, think about how you amplify the possibility that you'll accomplish your objective. So this thing is amazing, and I would tell you what you should do. I watch to see what my speakers do. Usually my speakers will send me a LinkedIn card immediately, and I'm happy to get it, right? And that's what you might want to be thinking about. You're interviewing for your job, you've met a nice person, you're interviewing people for a job, you want to keep track, it's too difficult, you put it down, and later you can use the search functionality of LinkedIn to find them.